welcome back to another episode of Live Sex. Let's talk about it. I'm Amanda here with Greg, and today our guest is Cassandra. Hi, Cassandra. Thank you for being here.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And what can we help you with today? What is your relationship dilemma?
So I am actually noticing a pattern in how I handle, especially my closer relationships, because I don't want conflict. And I worry that if I, confront certain issues, that it will cause conflict and it will strain the relationship. I see it in lots of different relationships. One in particular is with my closest friend. And so as you can imagine, it's hard to kind of bring up things that are uncomfortable because the last thing you want to do is strain that relationship. And so I used to be 100 pounds heavier a year ago, and she's been super helpful in, giving me advice on, dieting and exercise and running and things like that. And now it's now she's giving me advice on, how to stop running or how to, change things up. Same thing. She has a background in education. And so she's really helpful in terms of giving advice on what I should do with my kids and this and that. But it's just kind of starting to feel like I'm a project. There's always something that needs to be fixed. There's always something that I'm doing wrong. And I know she means it with love and means well, but it's almost insinuating like I am unable to kind of handle the things life throws at me on my own, which I think I've done pretty well so far for myself. So it's kind of getting to the point where, I don't know, it makes me feel like, I don't even know, lots of things. Look, I'm going to cry already. I'm just kidding. But I feel like
I didn't do it.
I know. I want to address it, but I also don't know. So I kind of want to address it, but I also don't want it to cause a strain in the relationship. She's like another parental figure to my kids. Her parents are really active in my kids' lives. So it's a very close friendship. And I would hate to see, I'm fine with sweeping it under the rug because that's what I do quite often. But if I can address it without straining the relationship, I would love to do that.
I think there are several ways that you could go about handling that without straining the relationship. But first, I want to say congratulations on your weight loss. That's an amazing goal that you have accomplished. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And also, you've survived everything in your life up until now. So I agree with you. I think that you have done a pretty good job.
Right? I have 2 kids that are alive still, so I'm proud of that.
So yeah, I don't think this is something that you have to keep sweeping under the rug at all.
What other relationships do you allow people to dictate how you should be doing things outside of what you think?
Every single. I just, sometimes I ask myself, I tend to lead with kindness, and sometimes it comes off as weakness. And I don't think I'm a weak person. I just ask myself all the time, is it worth? I try to pick my battles, right? And so by ultimately picking my battles and being very, very, conservative in terms of when I address things, I've allowed a lot of it. I've done it to myself, really.
What are you concerned about? What are you concerned about?
To me, is it worth saying something over and putting a strain in the relationship where we wouldn't be able to get back to where we are?
So she's imposing her thoughts on you unasked and unprovoked, but you're worried about creating a strain. Do you see the flaw in that thinking?
Absolutely. 100% see the flaw.
She's, essentially domineering you, and yet you feel bad. That's almost like a predator-prey dynamic, where the predator, you feel bad for the predator. No, you're the one. You're not asking for her help. So I don't know, why do you think that would cause a strain if you just said, hey, look, I appreciate it. I know you mean well, but I need you to back off. Why would that create a strain?
I don't know. I think we're very different in terms of personality. And so by me addressing or saying something like that, she might feel like, well, I've been, and I have in the past asked for guidance and help in certain areas. And so she might take it and like, all I've done is try to love you and it's because I care about you. And here you are throwing it in my face as a negative, I guess.
But I don't
But
think
that would be
asking
her
her to back
problem.
off, yeah, that's her issue. I mean, that's not your issue. Why are you making her problem your problem? I mean, if you're
And I don't even
respectful,
know that it is her problem. It's all in my head probably too. Is that where I
well,
start to think about how these scenarios would play out, and I always go to like the worst
okay.
possible
What
case
is the
scenario.
worst? What's the worst in this scenario? How does it play out in your head? What's the worst case with it?
That she decides that maybe that she doesn't want to continue the friendship, and I don't foresee that being the case. I just didn't want it to
Okay.
put a strain or like get to a point where now we're not able to get to that. We're pretty close
right.
and we share a lot of things, and I don't want to put like a wall up.
One thing at a time. So if you're close, first of all, you should be able absolutely to say something.
I should.
And if it does put a strain on it, then I would question how good of friends you were to begin with.
That's fair.
Well, thank you. I don't like to do unfair things or say unfair things. What other, have you ever, with any other relationships, have you spoken up and it didn't go well, or like, do you usually just take it?
I think a lot of it really stems from my upbringing. I was not necessarily, the straight, I guess I had decent grades, but I was not like your poster child of like what you would want as your child. I got into trouble like in high school and my early college years. But I carry a lot of guilt still about the things that I put like my family through and my parents through. And so I sometimes feel like I deserve to be, lectured or told because I didn't always have my life together. And so I think I've carried a lot of that into my other relationships.
Well, I don't know that it's guilt though. I mean, you're not doing it at this point. You're doing nothing illegal or immoral.
Right.
That was in the past. So I don't know that it's guilt. And it sounds more like a self-esteem issue. This really has nothing to do with your friend or the other people for that matter.
Well, that's totally fair. I definitely struggle with that as well. I know I mentioned about the weight loss. So sometimes I forget that that can play a big role too in terms of how I carry myself and how I talk to people. Pretty much for the first 2 years of my kids' lives, I wouldn't even take pictures. I have no pictures of me and my kids because of what I looked like, and it's stupid, but it is. It's a self-esteem thing for sure.
I'm hearing more of that than I am an issue with your friend. It's about being sure and confident in yourself, and you might still be holding on to that old stuff, but that's the issue. The issue is not your friend or anyone else for that matter, because when you're sure of yourself, you're going to know it's okay to tell her, and you're going to be confident in that. This is a deeper issue than your friend. And like you said, you don't even know that she's going to react in the way you're presuming she's going to react. So that's played up in your head. But I think it really goes more back to a self-esteem issue. And if that's what's going on, the best thing you could do is find a counselor, find someone to talk to and work through some of that. Because that's really, to me, what the root of this would be.
100%. Yep.
Is that fair?
That is fair, Gregory.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about everything now that we just kind of threw everything at you real fast?
Well, it makes me feel better knowing that it's not like something that I have to necessarily pile on her and say, hey, I don't like that you do this or say that. I could say, I've struggled with these things, and because of that, I have stayed quiet. I'm getting help for these things. And I don't know. I guess I don't really know how to word it. I'm not great with my words. I don't know if you could tell that. But I know I do need help with the self-esteem stuff.
So what if you were talking to her as if she needed to change her behavior towards one of your kids?
You're so good, Amanda. Like, bring out the mommy clause, right? Like, that's not fair. That is not fair. No, you mess with my kids, it's a whole other ballgame. But
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That
Right.
should be, I mean, not like a bear type thing, but that should be the same type of attitude you have within yourself.
Right.
Like, I'm doing a dang good job of my life. Like, I don't need to have her advice all day, every time we have a conversation.
Yeah.
So
That's
I would, first of all, get it in your head that that
yeah.
is,
I'm just
like,
deserving of having that same wall, like that same, like you said, for my kids. Why would I do it for them and not for myself? I love that.
exactly. Exactly. And then, I forgot what I was going to say.
That happens when you get old. See what you get to look forward to, Cassandra?
I'm so old. I'm like,
Cassandra, what if I asked you right now?
You can't be that much older than me.
If I said to you right now, can you do me a favor and not say it's fair because it brings up some bad memories for me?
Okay.
When we're talking, would you be mad at that? Would you be mad at me?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I just nicely asked you to do something. I don't like the word boundary, but because I can't control you, but I just asked you something that bothers me nicely and you're not offended. Now, this is somebody you're supposed to, I'm just trying to show you how the thoughts in your head are kind of illogical. This
Right.
is, we're not friends. I haven't known you. So you've known this girl. You claim you guys are really good friends. If you talk nicely like that, just like I did, if she gives two shits about you, her answer will be, I'm sorry, no problem. And you're not feeling like I put you off just now.
No.
I was just trying to show you.
Fear that I have, and I love that example. I think part of the fear that I have is that she'll take it to the complete opposite, where then she will feel like she can't come to me.
Then that's her issue, and unfortunately, you can't
fix
fix that. If she does that, you can't fix that.
That's fair.
No.
I'm sorry, it's not fair. I'm not going to say that ever again.
I don't care. I was giving you an example about it's fair. But my point is if you talk normal and she reacts in a bad way, that's her issue.
Right.
And you can't fix that. And then I'd say, well, maybe you need to question what kind of people you're around. Because if that throws her, then she's a little, out there.
Yeah. She has some issues she needs to work through if that triggers her to the point where she doesn't want to be your friend.
Exactly.
Right. Well, I think part of the reason I even had this question is that's just one example of one.
Give us another one. All right, give us another one. And don't cry.
Well, even just like how I allow family to treat me, right? Because and again, I do carry some of that guilt from the past. So like they will, like, let's say my parents will accommodate my sister or my brother, and I will get, like, I feel like that's what I deserve. I get whatever's left at the end because I put them through some tough stuff. So I know, and that's something that my husband and even friends tell me all the time, like, that's not who you are anymore and you shouldn't carry that with you. But it's hard to let that go. And then I feel like if I bring something up, then my worry is that is brought up, and they never have. Again, it's that illogical fear that I carry with me.
So how long, when's enough? Is there ever enough, or do you just have to live the next 50 years like this?
I don't know. That's why I'm here.
I can't tell you because I'm not the one with the thought. Amanda doesn't have the thought. So at what point have you beat yourself up enough? Like, do you have like a window, a time frame? No, I thought about it. Well, you should figure it out. If you got another 5 years, then beat yourself up for 5 years, then let it go, or whatever you determine.
No, I just don't. Very wise. I like the advice to get some counseling, because again, it's not on them. If they let me back up, they are awesome. I have a great relationship with them, but there are definitely times where it's very obvious and very evident that it is, and maybe because I'm so laid back and not confrontational, that they feel like they accommodate the other siblings, and then I get, whatever's left. And I say nothing because A, I don't want the conflict, and B, because I don't think at this point in their lives they can do whatever the heck they want. They've earned that, right? And so I can't want them to want to, treat me exactly the same. And I don't think they've always been very vocal, like, you guys are not the same and we're not going to treat you the same. But when it's brought up by other people too, outside looking in, and they see the difference in treatment, then that's where I feel a little bit more validated.
Well, I think that it all goes back to you. And I think that the same discipline, however you went about losing the weight, you need to take that same amount of fight and desire to figure your shit out. Once you figure that out, then you can deal with everybody else. But to sit and deal with everybody else when you still are trying to figure yourself out doesn't make sense. So you need to go take that same fight. You need to get a counselor. You need to figure out your issues. And once you're done with it, you're going to be able to say whatever it is you want to say. You're right. I was a screw up. That's not who I am. What you do now is not right. Or you might not care. The bottom line is, until you figure yourself out, nobody else matters. So you need to get back to that. And then you can figure out a path on who to deal with and how to deal with them.
I like that, because part of me is I'm not really confident in what to say, or if I even have a right to say something, whether it's this friendship or my relationship with my family. So figuring that out, I guess, comes first.
Girl, what are you talking about? Of course you have a right to say stuff.
She does.
There I go again.
Come on now. You have a problem.
It's a problem.
That proves the point. So you need to figure you out, and then the rest will work itself out. And it's going to take that same amount of discipline that it took to lose the weight. It's going to be that type of discipline. And that's just what you have to do.
Yeah.
If you want to fix it, I should say. You don't have to do anything. But if you want to fix it, that's what you're going to have to do to start.
I do. I feel like this is the first time in a really long time that I'm in a good place, health-wise, work-wise, family-wise. So it's like, man, and I'm constantly still from and more angles than just this friendship, but just people in general giving their advice on how to fix whatever might be wrong, or even times things that are not wrong. And I think it's because I have needed the help in the past.
Who fixed your weight for you?
Ozempic.
Okay, but that doesn't just keep it off. It sounds like...
No, I'm off of it now. I run like 30 to 40 miles a week now. So I've definitely made drastic changes, but definitely Ozempic helped.
So who made the changes?
You did all that yourself.
Well, that's what I was trying to get to. Who made the changes?
Yeah.
You had assistance, yes, but you still did it. Nobody did it for you. Nobody gave you the advice, right? I mean, did you do it or did someone do it for you?
Right. I had to stop eating the donuts.
Right. And no pill does that. So the point being that this is no different. You just have to tackle it.
And what if you said to yourself, do I even have the right to go running?
Oh my gosh. Absolutely would die if I could not go run. That's a whole other topic for another call.
Right. So you have the right to say
I have an unhealthy relationship with running. What do I do? No. Oh man, you guys have given me a lot to think about. That's for sure. But I do. I feel like I need to make sure that I constantly remind myself that I am deserving. I am deserving.
You are.
But B, also figure out my shit, as Greg said. Like, where does my self-esteem come into play, and where does it actually have valid? Where's the fear actually somewhat valid?
Well, that's where all this stems from. I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah.
All the other stuff is surface. It all goes back to the core, which is your self-esteem. You deal with that, the rest of it will fall in line.
All right. Well, I got some work to do then.
Okay, Cassandra, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.